Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll be talking about the longest flights in history and also the airplanes that make it possible. Please remember to like and subscribe. Now let's get right into it. Fact 1. Jet streams. When you think about long flights, you typically think about two cities on Earth that are far away from each other, and usually taking the Great Circle route to get there. And this will be the shortest distance between the 2 points, and as a result should yield the shortest flight time. However, the jet stream has a huge impact on how airplanes fly. You can think of jet streams as rivers of wind high in altitude, like 30, 40, 50,000 feet in the sky. These are not only rivers of wind, but at very, very high speeds. And so when airplanes take advantage of these winds as their tailwind, they could drastically reduce the time it takes to fly from one city to another, even though the distance is longer than the Great Circle route. Singapore Airlines currently holds the record for the longest route, from New York and Newark to Singapore, flying at just about 19 hours. Again, they take advantage of the jet stream and not necessarily the shortest distance in the Great Circle route. They take advantage of the jet stream to get to their destination faster. Now let's get into the next fact. Fact 2. The long domestic flights. When you think about domestic flights, you probably think about short-haul flights as maybe 2, 3, 5 hours. But did you know that there's actually a domestic flight in the world that takes over 16 hours? That's right. It's a domestic flight between France, the proper Paris, France, and its French territory in the Polynesia, Tahiti. During COVID, because the United States barred European countries from entering the United States, there was a flight from Tahiti to Paris non-stop at 16 hours. Technically, because French Polynesia is still a territory of France, this holds the record for the world's longest domestic flight. I know it is a bit of a stretch because technically it's not within France but in overseas territory to metropolitan France, but technicality-wise, it is a domestic flight. Let's get into the next fact. Fact 3. 32 hours of flight. Back when jet airliners were not available for people to travel with, most long-distance flights were seaplanes with propellers. During this age of travel, the Qantas airline actually had a route called the Double Sunrise that flew weekly between Perth, Australia and Sri Lanka. This route between Sri Lanka and Perth, Australia is typically 28 hours aboard a consolidated BPY Catalina, which is again a seaplane with propellers. And on August 30, 1943, there was a flight that took over 32 hours and 9 minutes. This still remains as the longest ever commercial airline flight duration in history. Can you imagine being stuck on a small airplane for 32 hours? That's what they did. Now let's get into the next fact. A350-900 The Airbus 350-900 Ultra Long Range is currently the world's record holder for the longest flight duration. Currently, out of all commercial airliners, this is the only one that could fly over 19 hours in the air. The A350-900 is very identical on the outside to all other A350s. In fact, there's also an Airbus A350-900 without the ULR with the ultra long range designation, and this one can fly 18 hours. These airplanes, although from the outside looks very similar, within the components of the airplanes, they're able to make things lighter, additional fuel tanks, and other ways to really make the plane be able to fly for such long durations. It is also interesting that Singapore Airlines is currently the only airline that flies the A350-900 ULR. Out of the 7 planes in this category, Singapore Airlines owns all of them. I guess Singapore Airlines wants to be the airline that flies in the longest flights. Now let's get to the next fact. Fact 5, 64 days in the air. We've talked a lot about commercial airliners and the longest flights, and because the longest flights are usually scheduled commercial flights. But did you know in 1959, there was a Cessna 172, which was brand new design at that time, that flew over 64 days in the air continuously. It's a very incredible feat that they accomplished. You must be wondering how. Well, first of all, for refueling, they simply flew very low right above the runway where a refueling truck is going at the same speed, and they connected a hose to refuel the airplane. What about sleeping? Well, they took out all the seats in the Cessna 172 and put a bed there. What about going to the bathroom or food? Well, the same way they refuel the airplane, they also fly low for resupply runs and also dispose of their camp toilets of their human waste. This was accomplished with such an incredible amount of coordination and flying low, and I don't think it could happen again today. Well, that's it for my video. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.